This is higher homework, it's question 2, and if you've not completed this one, try it yourself and I'll show you the solution. Okay, here we go. So I have to prove that cos 15 degrees is equal to this here on the right hand side. So let's start working on the left hand side and we'll try and prove that that equals that there. Okay, so we're going to start with the cosine of 15 degrees. Right, so it'll be a non-calculator question, and I know that 15 degrees can be made up of kind of two ways based on the table of exact values. What we could use is we could use 45 take away 30 to work that out, and that would give me 15 degrees. Or I could use 60 take away 45, so that's the other option that I've got. I'm going to go with that one, okay? So what we'll go for is instead of writing cosine of 15, what we'll do is we'll write 60 minus 45. Okay, so from there what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using the expansion for this in the formula list. So I'll just go and have a look at that. Formula list for expanding a cosine with a minus in the middle. So let's have a look at what we have to do there. So that will give us cosine of 60, that will be cosine of 45, sine changes to a plus, and then that will be the sine of 60, and the sine of 45. Now these are all values that come from the table of exact values, so let's try and get them out now. So that's going to be a half. That one there is going to be 1 over root 2 I'm going to use. I'm going to add to that, that's going to be root 3 over 2. And this one here is 1 over root 2. Okay, so it's important that you know these table of exact values, because there's many questions that come up that require you to know that, especially in the non-calculator paper. Right, so let's gather this together just now. So what I've got here is, that'll be 1 over 2 root 2, and on this side here I've got root 3 over 2 root 2. Let's just gather that further. So what we've got is 1 plus root 3 all over 2 root 2, and hopefully that's me finished. It's not, so it's not exactly like that, but I would expect that in your exam you could get a question where you have to prove cosine of 15 is equal to this here, and that would be an appropriate question to do. What I'm going to do is, to try and take this a bit further, is I'm going to try and get a square root in somewhere, because I can see there's a square root in that answer there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to both square the fraction, so I'm going to square the fraction, and I'm also going to take a square root of it as well at the same time, which doesn't really change it at all. So I'm going to both square and take the square root of the fraction above. Okay, so let's go over to here. Okay, so I'm just going to take the square root of that. Okay, square root of it, and what I said is I'm going to square it as well. So there it is inside there, and that's now all squared. Right, so what I'll do then is I'll just, if I'm going to square this, I'm going to split the top and the bottom. I'm going to leave my big root sign here, and so that'll be 1 plus root 3. I'm going to have to square that out. I can do that by FOIL, okay, or any other way that I know to multiply the top line out. So let's multiply the top line out. Big square root sign just then. So that'll be 1 plus 2 root 3, and that's going to be plus 3. Just if I multiply it out by FOIL, what I would get is I would get from there. Or if you know the quick way to do it, just do that yourself. And in the bottom, so squaring 2 is going to give me 4, and squaring the root of 2 is going to give me 2. So that's going to be 4 times 2 that's going to be on the bottom. So let's just tidy this up a bit, keep the square root in, and hopefully I'm working towards the solution here. So I've got gathered them together, so that's 4 plus 2 root 3 all over 8. Right, let's see how this works out now. Okay, so what I can see on the top here, on both the terms here, we've got even numbers, even number on the bottom, so I could divide everything inside that square root by 2, and that should work out for me. So let's do that. So what I'll do is I'm dividing everything by 2. Okay. Right then, so what that will leave me is big square root, and that's going to be 2 plus root 3 all over 4. Now that's starting to get more like what I've to leave the question like. So next thing I'm going to do is I'll take the square root. So if I've got a square root over the top and the bottom, I can separate them into the top and the bottom with roots on them. Just a third piece of work. Right, so on the top, 2 plus root 3. On the bottom, root 4. Okay, just split it. Now what I can see is I've got 2 plus root 3 all over 2. And what I'll do is, instead of writing it like that, so I've now got it into the form that I'm after, but to put it exactly into that, I'll bring that 2 to the front as my fraction. So that's going to be a half, and it's going to be square root of 2 plus root 3. And that's the question complete. And we'll just say either as required. And let's see how we're going to get the marks for that. Right, so first mark I'm going to get for simplifying cosine 15 into 60 minus 45. Or if you use the 45 minus 30, that would work also. I'm going to get 1 mark for expanding out the formula. I'm going to take 1 mark for substituting in the values from the table of exact values, and I'll get another mark for this one here. And I think that's where a normal question may end. This question here a bit more complex and just moving some things about. There might be a better way of doing it than this. If you've found it, please let me know. And I'll just give 1 more mark for that last part there. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 5 marks.